So how might, because that's a lot, like attachments, even like attachment styles, which I just learned, by the way, and even how your body's reacting to it. I feel like some people might just like eyes gloss like right over on it. How
Mhm.
might one realize like, hey, I actually need to look into this? How might that be manifesting in their lives?
Yeah, so I always recommend reading the book Attached. It has a great just kind of layout of everything. There's a quiz in there. It's a perfect starting point. But however, to kind of answer your question, if you look at it in terms of, relationship, just start to get present and notice like what's the story that's playing on repeat in my relationship? Or what's the story that's playing on repeat in my business? Or what's the story that's playing on repeat in my relationship with money? Do you find yourself maybe pulling back, not wanting to open up, maybe not checking the bank account? I kind of look at it in multiple different ways. Or you're kind of like, I don't want to feel disappointment. I don't want to feel hurt. So I'm going to kind of guard my heart and hold myself
Yeah.
back.
Let's dive deeper into that because I feel like a lot of people can relate to that, especially as it relates to money. So if let's just say I'm feeling resistance to opening up a bank account, or I'm feeling resistance to like understanding numbers. So for people who are business owners, like understanding the purpose of knowing what is inside a profit and loss report and how to like make decisions based off of that. What might that tell you? If I'm having resistance around that, what does that tell you?
Yeah. So it tells me that there's probably some deep money trauma within your life. Because for a lot of us too, we kind of use the story of like, oh, I'm not good with numbers, or, I just don't want to look at that stuff. And when in reality, it's like we have so much money trauma based on how we grew up that we're either going to, for safety and protection, avoid something, or some people do do the opposite, where they're almost like obsessively checking their bank account and looking at everything. So people might go more avoidant with money of like, I'm just going to hope everything works out. I don't want to create intimacy with it, because there's the fear for avoidant attachment styles. If I create the intimacy with it, am I going to get rejected? For an anxious attachment style, it's like, okay, if I, am not constantly here and like with it and looking at it and being with it, is it going to leave me? Is it going to abandon me? So it's like, there's so much like within money, it's like there's money trauma, and then we fear rejection, we fear abandonment, we fear, having the survival if you experience that growing up, and then it plays out, lovely in our, relationship and our
Right.
businesses, our, just money in
So
general.
yeah, so with that, I can understand from a relationship standpoint, like, oh, maybe I'm avoidant because I don't want to be rejected. So how, from an avoidant attachment style, and let's just say you are avoiding looking at your bank account, what does rejection look like? Right? Like
Hmm.
what would some of those, how would that look in real life? How would that manifest? Because it's not like money saying like, deuces, I don't want to be with you anymore, right? Like,
Yeah, good question. So let's say, for example, I'm going to kind of go back a little bit with this one. Let's say that you're sending out an invoice to a client and you are kind of avoiding looking at your email or your messages because maybe they had a question about the contract. There might, like, how it will pop up for some people is like they literally won't want to respond to it like after they've sent something out. Because they're like, okay, I've built up the courage and I've sent this thing out. And then immediately, if they get an email back, the story that's kind of running in their body is like, oh, they've rejected it. They said no. So I'll see people kind of in the relationship with money, they might avoid DMs of people that are wanting to work with them, because while they want to work with them and they do desire the money and the support and being able to help somebody, there's this fear of rejection. So it's like, I'm going to kind of avoid that. Or if they look at their relationship with money, they look at their P&L, they look at all of those different things, and it doesn't look the way that they think that it should look based on like quote unquote where they think that they should be at, then they actually have to feel and process the letdown and the hurt that lives in their body. And a lot of times for avoidant attachment styles, they don't want to have to feel those things. So it's like a barrier of protection
mm,
of I don't have to feel it then. So that's kind of how it would play out more so in money that
yeah.
way.